that to me now, please. Hello. Let's see, friends. Let's just see for a minute. I'm here. Let's make sure. Oh yeah, I think we're just about ready. I can see you in just a second. Alrighty. Okay, are we good? Ooh, we're crooked. We're a little bit crooked there. Let's see what's going on. Okay, I think we're good. Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Let me know that you're here. You guys can see me, right? I am like, which country am I in? Like, which part of the world am I in? Hello, guys. Hi. Welcome. Happy, what day is it? Tuesday. I am so turned upside down. I tell you what, I was in Japan for 13 days and just got home on Sunday night, and it is Tuesday night. Japan is a 15-hour time change from where I am in Utah, time difference. So I'm still a little bit upside down. And that's why we're doing our setup tonight, which is the 31st of March, which is a little bit late. Some of you are like, Lael, April starts tomorrow. If you're watching live, and you're like, I would have really liked to have had my traveler's notebook set up before tomorrow for April, but I was in Japan, so there was no way in the world that it could have happened before tonight. Now, I could have maybe done it last night. That would have been Monday night, but then that would have had me home from Japan about 24 hours, and I didn't dare do that because if you know me, I'm already a little loopy as it is. But I was worried about jet lag and trying to do that after getting home so soon from Japan. So anyhow, I'm here. I'm sleeping okay, which is actually surprising, and I should probably knock on wood because you know what that's going to mean for tonight. Anyhow, welcome to you. If you are new here, my name is Lael Kankar. I have a business called Lael by Mail. You are here tonight with me, whether you're watching live or you may be watching the replay, but we are using the Spring Summer Season Pass Kit to set up our traveler's notebook for the month of April. Now, some of you may be like, wait a minute, what the heck are you talking about? You may have just stumbled across my YouTube channel and you're watching, or you may have seen a free class on my website and thought, hey, you know what, I think I'm gonna check it out. We are using something called Season Pass, and Season Pass is something that I've been doing for the last about year and a half. It is an assortment of product kind of for a season, really for 3 months. And so the one that we're using tonight, starting out with, is Spring Summer for the months of April, May, and June. Now, I specifically, many of you use Season Pass to set up your traveler's notebook for the month. Some of you may not use a traveler's notebook at all. Some of you may just have really liked the product, so you purchased the product, or you may have seen the product and been interested in the product and wanted to kind of see me use it and learn a little bit more about it. So regardless of the reason why you're here, tonight you're going to see me use the April portion of the Spring Summer Season Pass kit. I encourage you to hang out with us. There's always lots to learn, whether or not you use a traveler's notebook, whether or not you're even using Season Pass. But I think there's a lot to be learned from tonight's session, and we always have a lot of fun. So welcome to you. You will find a link, if I remember, hopefully I put it there, in the description box of the video down below of the Season Pass kit that I'm using, the Spring Summer Season Pass kit. I will tell you, it has sold incredibly quickly again, as did the Winter Spring. So Winter Spring is now completely sold out. We are using Spring Summer, and I'm going to say we're probably 90% sold out of Spring Summer. And that would be both the kit itself and also the a la carte components. So you can purchase any of the a la carte products, the paper pack, the rub-ons, the stamp, the die cuts, the word strip stickers. You can either purchase them in a kit or you can purchase them a la carte. And we are about 90% sold out of all of those as well. And really it hasn't even started yet because we're just getting into April, May, June. So I will tell you, if you've been holding out, don't hold out much longer because it will not be around much longer. Each time we design a new kit. So the kit for summer fall has already been designed and produced. I keep upping the numbers thinking, well, this will for sure do it for next time. And then you guys keep surprising me and selling us out very quickly. So just kind of a word to the wise there. It's something that you probably don't want to wait on if you've been waiting. All right, so let me just take a quick look at the chat. If you are watching live, there is a live chat that takes place. If you're here watching live, I'd love it if you pop in and say hello. If you want to tell us your name, great. You want to tell us where you're from, great. If you don't want to share any of that, just say hi so that we know you're here. If you are watching the replay, welcome to you. Always nice to have you, even if you're watching the replay. If you weren't aware, as of January this year, 2026, I have made all of the setup the classes free, so you can come and watch whether you purchase the product or not. So you may be here for that. All right, so let me just divert my eyes very quickly. We'll see who's here, and then we will dive in. Okay. Let's see, and we're going to be a little bit crooked, I think, until we rotate. Good news, we have now moved to the warehouse. We've been in our new warehouse. Oh my gosh, I don't know, about a month. Is that about right? Maybe about 3 weeks. And what that means is I'm starting to set up my filming studio downstairs, which means all of this rotating things and turning on and off lights and things like that will soon be a thing of the past. But I just got home, and so it's going to probably take me a couple weeks to get all that set up and tested. So it'll just make it a lot easier once you join me in the future. Well, easier for me, and if it's easier for me, it'll be easier for you because it won't be so, disjointed. Anyhow, let's see who is here. Hello, Belinda. She says, can't wait to craft and chat. Carrie is here. She's asking if everybody is ready for April. Ready or not, here we come, right? Because tomorrow is April. Marianne Jones, she said, March is supposed to go out like a lamb. In like a lion, out like a lamb. Is that right? I think so. She said, but it's storming bad here in Ohio. I'm looking out the window. I live in Utah, and I can tell you what the weather was like yesterday and today. It's been really nice. Maybe late 60s, high 60s, which is very unusual for us this time of year, but I think it's supposed to snow later this week, so I don't know. Who knows? Carrie said it's beautiful in Oregon last week. This week has gone back to rain and normal Oregon spring. Hello, Laurie Meadows. She said she made it live. Yay. Mary C. Plans. Good evening. Wendy McTurk. Hello. Ms. L. Mary C. Plans just gave us all a reminder. If you are here and you're still watching, whether you're live or the replay, if you'd give the video a thumbs up, I would sure appreciate that. That is super, super helpful for anyone that you're watching on YouTube. If you even spend 30 seconds watching, thumbs up is really helpful to us, so I appreciate that. And Mary, thanks for the reminder. Hello, Laura. She said hello from cold and rainy Colorado. She's very excited to play tonight. Lauren Lou 11, this is her first live. Are we supposed to have specific supplies ready? So, Lauren, that is a great question. I am using the spring-summer the spring-summer season pass kit for what I'm doing tonight. But because it's a free class, you really don't have to have anything ready. If this is your first time, it may be a good idea just to kind of watch what I do as I show you how I've been setting up my traveler's notebook by month, and I've been doing this probably for the last 7 or 8 years. So it'll give you a little bit of insight in what I use to set up my traveler's notebook every month. Laura says hello from cold and rainy Colorado. She's excited to play. I think I already read that. Hello, Carol from the Great White North. Still a frozen tundra here in central Canada. Stay warm. Hello, Sandy from Texas. Marcia, hello. TK, nice to see you. Linda Messina from gloomy Huntington Beach. I don't know. Linda, to me, that sounds like an oxymoron. I mean, Huntington Beach, whether it's sunny or not, is always, I think, pretty nice in my boat. I would love to be there. Let's see. Supplies, yes. Tools that you will need. Adhesive, foam dots, a trimmer. If you're using a traveler's notebook. But other than that, you may just watch and hang out and maybe get some tips or tricks or learn something. Hello, Joyce. Nice to see you. I'm from Central Florida. I'm glad I'm back too. Always nice to travel. If you know me, you know I love traveling. It fuels me. I've traveled my entire life since I was a little kid. I got my first passport when I was 4 years old. So traveling is so much a part of my life. But I will tell you, it's always nice to come home, especially after being gone 13 days. So thank you. I'm happy to be back. Yes, TK, it was wonderful. It was an amazing trip. You will hear me talk about it over the next month or so, starting this Saturday when we do our listing. And then I did do an Instagram post yesterday if you want to see some photos. And then I will also do a post on Facebook, so you can kind of, if you're there, learn a little bit more about my trip as well. Hello, Kathy. Kelly, hello. A. Gernhardt, hello. Bev Hillis. Gabby, hi, Gabby. Gabby threw a little Japanese character in there for us at the beginning of the hello. Yes, Lauren, use whatever you have. If you want to play along, just use whatever you have. Let's see, I am not in, so the new space, yes, in the new warehouse, but new space, not in my new filming studio here at home yet. We'll get there. Run Crafty Bee Creations, hello from Spokane. Virginia is here. Justine, hello, hello. Dot 729, nice to see you. I'm quickly scrolling through and trying not to read what you've already said or what I have already welcomed. Hello, Wanda. Phyllis, hello, hello. Charlene is here from Nebraska. Bonnie, hello from Idaho. Nice to see you. It's the neighboring state to me. Hello, Jillian. Carrie is here from Spokane. Amanda, hello, hello. Hi, Denise. Nice to see you. Denise is loving the new season pass. Yeah, if you are new to season pass, or maybe you're a rejoiner of season pass or repurchaser, we made some pretty awesome changes the beginning of the year that you guys all seem to be loving because you keep selling us out, which I love. Hello, Nancy from New York. Yes, Marcia, she is 100% right. Well, not about me. She said you and your team are so amazing. That's why you keep selling out. Yeah, we've got some pretty good designs going in 2026 that I'm so excited about. Hello, Polka Dot Mailbox from Canada. Aunt Recreates, hello, hello. Adrian. Leonie from Auckland, New Zealand. That's one of the fun things when we do a nighttime class or a nighttime live is we get some of our friends from the other side of the world, especially, well, even kind of the southern part of the other side of the world, where the time is so different that you guys get to join us. Because a lot of times when we do our Saturday mornings, you don't get to join us because it's the middle of your night. Hello, Leah's Plans from Auburn, Georgia. She is new here tonight. She bought some supplies, made her first traveler's notebook cover, and her first time stamping this past Sunday. I am so proud of you. Good for you. Good, good, good. That makes me so happy. I love to see new. I love to see firsts. Hello, Kelly from Columbus. Janine is an Army brat. She got her first passport on the way home from the hospital after being born. Janine, Navy brat here. So totally get it. Totally get it. That's why. We actually lived in Japan when I was 4, 5, and 6, and that is why I got my first passport when I was 4. Let's see, Sarah, both Sarah and Kelly are Georgia. A is for Allison. Thank you, Allison. I probably won't remember, but I appreciate that you told me that. Hello, Joy. Nice to see you. She's living the dream with her grandbaby. She's got a brand new grandbaby that's 9 days old. Congratulations. That's so exciting. Leah's Plans is new. She bought the year pass kit. Love it, love it, love it. Amanda, oh, that's so sweet. She said, welcome home. Missed you while you were gone. I missed you guys. I miss our Saturdays. Hello, Carrie. Edith, hello, hello. And Joanne. Yes, I think I kind of have everybody. If you said hello and I missed you, apologies, but I think it's time for us to get going, okay? So crossing our fingers, Reggie is well situated, the cat, in his little bucket on my desk here. He was on one. I have obviously been gone for 2 weeks and then spent most of the day yesterday and today at the warehouse. And so he's very lonely. So he was very much not cooperating as I was trying to get set up, but he is sleeping right now. So we're going to cross our fingers and hope that he continues to sleep. And if he doesn't, you know what he does? He'll just walk right across where I'm working and then we'll try to shoo him away and we'll see what happens from there. All right. So with that said, I'm going to rotate the camera, turn off the overhead lights, turn the lights, and we'll be ready to roll. Okay. Okay. Let's just do that right there. Rotate our little camera. Apologies for the shakiness while I do that. Let's plug in because that is very important. We need to make sure that we are plugged in. So if you are new and you haven't had said hello, I would love it if you'd say hello. Let us know you're here so we can welcome you. And when I say we, I mean me. I also mean everyone that's in the chat. Okay. So I don't know, it looks like it might start raining outside, so it could get a little bit darker than normal in here, but hopefully the lights will assist us there. Alrighty, so because it is the start of a new season pass, we with April have moved into the spring summer season pass. I want to take just a couple of minutes and orient you to a few things because anytime we start a new season pass, I generally get some questions and it kind of tends to be the same questions every time. So we'll start right off the bat with that. With season pass, I use Season Pass for a number of different things, but first and foremost, I use it to decorate or set up my traveler's notebook for the month. And what I mean by that, if we look at March, this was my setup for March. So I am using the papers, I am using the die cuts, the word strip stickers, the stamps, and the rub-ons to basically decorate my traveler's notebook for the month. Now, I use more than one traveler's notebook. I use actually quite a few different traveler's notebooks. And when I mean traveler's notebooks, I mean the covers. I use more than one for different things. I use one for my creative lists. I use one, in particular this one, for my calendar. So I have a calendar insert that I use, and I have another insert that I use for notes that I jot down, or maybe ideas, things that eventually I want to transfer over into one of my other traveler's notebooks. But this is the traveler's notebook that I use for my monthly calendar and kind of my notes. And it is something that I decorate every month. So as each new month comes about, I am unloading from the prior month. So this will be March. I am unloading March, and then I am setting up April. And it is something that I have done every month, probably I want to say the last 8 or 9 years. And when I do it in a way that it is not permanent. It is temporary, so it's very easy for me to move out of a month and then move into a different month. So one of the first questions I get when I start talking about Traveler's Notebook and moving out of a month and into a new month is, what do I do with all of this stuff, right? This was my setup for March. And March, I spend a lot of time every month decorating, and I spend a lot of money doing that, right? Because I have purchased product. Well, basically, I'm talking about you here. I have purchased product. You have purchased product to set up your traveler's notebook. And once the month is over, you say, well, Leo, what do I do with all of this stuff? Do I just throw it away? And I say, no. You spent good time and good money on this product. So no, just because you're moving out doesn't mean that you have to throw it away. So let's talk about some different ideas that you could do when you are moving out of your traveler's notebook setup for the month. One of the things I do is sometimes I will do something like this. Sometimes I will just take what I have and I will cut it down and make a really simple card, right? So this is a standard, I think this is it an A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, whatever the name of that size is. But I basically just cut down one of my slip covers, and we'll talk about slip covers as we get going in our April setup, but I cut down one of my slip covers and I just create a really simple card. So I thought that's what I would start out first with as I am moving out of the month of March. So let me take my insert out. This is my monthly calendar insert, so we'll talk about that as we get going on April. But that basically leaves me with this, my slip cover, right? You'll notice it came right off because it is temporary. I want to be able to then recover this for April and then cover it again for May, June, July, and so forth. So my slip covers that we create are temporary, which means number one, they slide right off. But number two, that means now I can take what I have left and do something with it. So what I'm going to do with this one is basically I'm going to create a really simple card. So I have you guys have to tell me, those of you that are card makers, is this an A2 size? I really don't make cards other than do something like this, but I think that's an A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So what I'm going to take, I have my blank card base there. I am just going to take my trimmer out very quickly. Thank you, Denise. Yes, A2. All right, so I can just simply cut this down, and I'm going to just kind of remove my little corner rounds that I had there. So just cut those off, and then that leaves me with this piece. So before I cut this down to make it a card, this is now roughly the size of a traveler's notebook page, a traveler's notebook insert. So if I wanted, I could take this and put this right here in my traveler's notebook, and I could use it in my traveler's notebook, right? I could make a fun list here. I could add photos here, really from any month, because even though I use this as part of my March setup, there is nothing particular here that says anything really about March. Definitely it's spring related, but not necessarily March. So I could use it right off the bat in my traveler's notebook. But this piece I could also use, maybe I'm a 12 by 12 scrapbooker. I could take that and use that on a 12 by 12. And let me just grab something here that this could actually work with. This could be my 12 by 12 scrapbook page. I could put something like that there, add a photo and a little bit of journaling, and now my 12 by 12 scrapbook page is done, right? Because I had done some of the decorative work already on my slipcover. We talked about, though, creating a card with it. So if I have my A2 size card, Mary, exactly. It could be like a monthly divider, definitely. So if I have my little A2 size card here, this is 4 1/4, right? So I think what I would like to do, I'd like to have a little bit of a background. So I'm going to trim this to about 4 inches wide, right? So when I lay that down on my A2 card base, that would give me a little bit of a white border. Now my height is 5 1/2. So I think I'd like to make this about 5 1/4, like that. And just like that, I now have a really simple card that I have created using that slip cover that I cut down. All right, super easy. Now that was the kind of front part of my slip cover, but I also have this. That's the back part, right? Because it was wrapped around my insert. So I could do any of the same things with this piece. I could use this as a background on a 12 by 12 scrapbook page. I could use this as, maybe it could be on the inside of my card, or I could create another card and continue to decorate with it. Or I could even use it as another page in my traveler's notebook insert. Like Denise said, I could use it as a tip in. So I will talk about a tip in a second, because I'm going to now kind of move over to these guys. All right, so we talked about what we could do with our slip covers. Yeah, could definitely go in your junk journal. It could go in a lot of different things. But now I want to talk about these pieces. These were all the cards and the die cuts, the stamping, anything that I did to decorate the pockets, all right? So these can be used just as easily as the slip cover that we use to create a card. I will show you what I did in the month of February with all of these pieces. I used, and actually I didn't create a tip in for this, but I definitely could have. I basically pulled all of those pieces out of the pockets for February. So if you kind of think of that, but it was in February instead of March, I pulled all those out and I adhered them to a page in my traveler's notebook insert. And then I trimmed that down. So I have nice little kind of decorative in-between page on my About Last Month list here. And all I did was literally pull all the pieces out and adhere them to a page in my insert. And I've been able to reuse all of those pieces too. All right, so the moral of that story is, when you are moving out of your traveler's notebook insert after a month has passed, all of the pieces that you used for your setup from season pass, they don't have to go to waste, right? Lots of different things that you can do with them. So just kind of gave you an idea, creating a card, using it as a page in your traveler's notebook, creating a layout, lots of different things that you can do. So it's almost like the gift or the purchase that keeps on giving, right? All right. So I am going to, or I have actually started already moving out of March. I pulled my slip cover off of my monthly insert that I use, and I will pull the slip cover off of my second insert. Now, I always end up making 2 of these every month, right? I create my setup, and then in class, I create a second one. So that's what you're seeing, is just my kind of plain old second one that I created in class. So we're gonna set this off to the side. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to unload all of these, because I ended up using the same traveler's notebook cover for April that I did for March. So when I say I'm moving out, I'm like literally moving out. As I am pulling these pieces out, they're pretty much all connected together. So it makes it really easy, like that, to use them all in one piece without having to really separate all the pieces. So if I wanted to create another page in my traveler's notebook insert for that, or even a tip in, I have that I could do. All right, so let's get all those pieces away off to the side. Now I do have a little bit of residue here that I will just peel a little bit off of. When we create that piece for April, we'll kind of talk about that part right there. All right, so as we get going, we will first cut our papers for April. And then as we work together, we will be working side by side. So I will have my April set up next to me. So as I'm creating, I'll be creating, and then I'll have this next to me so you can kind of see what we're doing side by side. So your papers for the month of April, starting out with this piece, all right? So this is our cut apart 12 by 12. We have our 3 by 4 cards and our 2 4x6 cards. On the back side, we have that beautiful, I don't know, it's kind of like raining petals, and it could either go this way or this way. All right, we've got that piece. Then we have the beautiful tulips with the kind of green tone on tone polka dot-ish on the back side. You have the scallop kind of stripes on one side, and you have that pink tone on tone polka dot on the back side. And then you have the cute, stinking cute bunny rabbits, right? Aren't those the cutest rabbits you've ever seen, with kind of all the little flowers on the rabbits? So cute. So with this guy, you guys, April, there are quite a few parts of April that pertain to Easter. Now, if Easter is not your thing, you have pieces that you can use that have nothing to do with Easter at all. And when it comes to this particular paper, if you are into Easter and you want to decorate your traveler's notebook with an Easter theme, then you have Easter bunnies. But if Easter is not your thing, then these are just bunnies, right? Bunnies can be used for anything. They don't have to specifically pertain to Easter. So they've been designed in a way that they could, just work for spring. And then you have that beautiful kind of soft pastel plaid. Those are the 4 papers that I am using from the spring summer season pass for the month of April. All right. So let's start out by cutting those papers. All right, so I'm going to start out by cutting this piece apart first. So let's go ahead and just start cutting. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 3 by 4 cards and 2 4 by 6s. So that's how I will be cutting them. Most of you, well, I don't know anymore. I actually can't even really say anymore. It used to be, I could say that most of you are using Season Pass for your Traveler's Notebook setup, but I know that's definitely not the case anymore. So when it comes to these cut apart cards, I use them for decorating the pockets of my Traveler's Notebook insert. Let's get these guys out of the way. That's what I use them for, but you could be using them for, maybe you are a pocket page scrapbooker, and you want to use them to do your mini book, your pocket pages for the month of April, or really for anything. You may be a scrapbooker and you're just using some of those cards for your journaling on a 12 by 12 layout. You may be a card maker, and if you're a card maker, then those cards really come in handy as you are making your cards, or maybe you're making tags, or really there's no limit to what you can or can't use Season Pass for. And these little cards, your 3 by 4 and your 4 by 6s. So I am cutting those apart first. After we get those cut apart, once we get our other papers cut, I will show you which specific cards I have used for my setup. So you kind of have some choices if you want to use the same ones that I did, or you want to use some different ones. All right, so there we go. We have our cards, our cards. I'm going to just set these little guys off to the side over here. So you should have seen me. I left the warehouse. I actually left the warehouse a little bit later than I should have, and got home and was in a mad dash to kind of get everything cleaned up in this room so we could start. And when I say cleaned up, I mean cleaned up from the night before I went to Japan, because I was working on my kind of traveler's notebook that I took with me to document the trip while I was gone. So I basically had to clean Japan up from all of this. We're basically moved from Japan to spring in the course of about an hour. All right, so our 3 12 by 12s. I have used 2 of the 3 12 by 12s to create my slip covers. And slip covers, again, are what we are using to temporarily cover our traveler's notebook inserts for the month. And the 2 papers that I have used for my setup for the month of April, I have used the bunny paper, and then I have used this fun kind of striped paper. So I will pull those 2 aside, and we will be cutting those. Now, I did not use this paper in my setup. So you have this paper to use for whatever you would like if you are doing your setup the same way I am doing mine. Or you may decide to maybe swap this one out for the bunnies if you'd like it to have a little bit more of a spring feel as opposed to the bunny rabbit feel. But remember, you also have the bee sides. So you have lots of different options in terms of what you would like to use for your setup. But these are the 2 that I am using. So this one I'll put off to the side. The Traveler's Notebook inserts that I use and the Traveler's Notebook inserts that I manufacture under my brand are called Standard Wide. So Standard Wide is 5 inches wide by 8 1/4 inches tall. Standard Wide. And that is in relation to, let me grab one right here. We'll just grab this one. This is standard. Now, right now, pay no attention to the Christmas on here. I'll talk about the Christmas in a minute. But as we look at the comparison, standard is 8 1/4 by 4.33 inches wide. Standard wide is 8 1/4 by 5. So you can see that gives you about an extra 3/4 of an inch on a page, which then, if you're working in a spread, gives you about an extra 1.5 inches. So standard wide. And I bring that up because that's important that we know what that size is when we are cutting our paper for our slip covers. I am cutting my papers to 8 1/4 inches tall. And that is because my Traveler's Notebook insert is 8 1/4 inches tall, right? So I want to be able to wrap or slip cover that insert that's 8 1/4 inches tall. So I need to trim this to 8 1/4. You'll notice I am going to rotate my paper as I put it into my trimmer, and I'm going to trim that to 8 1/4 inches. That is because when I wrap this, I would like the bunnies to be facing this direction, right? I would like my bunnies to be awake. I don't want them to be asleep. If it's this way, my bunnies are sleeping when I wrap it, right? So I'm going to trim this to 8 1/4 inches tall, like that. And when I go to slip cover, my bunnies are awake as opposed to asleep, right? So if I had trimmed it the other way, my bunnies would be, when I say sleeping, they're kind of laying down, right? That's what I mean. So there is my first page, my first slip cover. And now I'm going to trim this one. Now, when you have stripes, your stripes can obviously either go horizontally or vertically. And it's something I want you to pay attention to before you start cutting. All right? Pay attention to the direction of your stripes before you start cutting. We already know we want to trim this to 8 1/4 inches tall because our insert is 8 1/4 inches tall. So do I want my stripes to be running horizontally? If so, I want to cut it right here. If I want my stripes to be running vertically, then I will cut it this way, all right? So there is no right or wrong way, right? You do you. For me, I like my stripes to run horizontal. So that tells me when I am putting my paper into my trimmer, I need to rotate it that way. And when I trim it 8 1/4, that will give me horizontal stripes when I wrap, when I slip cover, all right? So there are my 2 pieces. Both of those are 8 1/4 inches tall by 12 inches wide. We did not trim the width at all, and that will make sense in a minute. We'll talk about why we're not trimming the width at all. Now, before we put this trimmer away, let me double check to see. We do need to trim a couple of more pieces. This guy I am going to trim. This is the piece I had left over after I cut my my second slip cover. This one I want to trim to 8 inches tall, and I'll tell you why. You may decide to either trim it with me now or not. All of my Lail by Mail Traveler's Notebook, so the covers, they have a decorative pattern on the cover, but the insides all look exactly the same. The insides are all kind of this off-white, whitish cream color, and that is very much by design. I won't say never, but I will say 99.99999% surety. You will never see me put any kind of pattern on the inside of my Traveler's Notebook covers. The reason for that is, as long as it's super neutral like this, you can put anything on the inside. So they may seem kind of boring when they're like this, but they're that way for a reason. You can put anything on the inside and it will always match or coordinate. Let's say this was Christmas pattern, and on the inside I did maybe red and green polka dots, which would be great for Christmas, but when April rolls around, if I had red and green polka dots on the inside, really it'd be hard for to use it with April, right? Because red and green polka dots wouldn't necessarily go with this. So always, always, always neutral in the inside. You can use whatever you want with that. I bring that up because I had us trim this piece to 8 inches tall because it's kind of plain. Even though we're decorating the pockets, even though we're doing our slip covers, I always like to add a little something right here. Just slide that right into that side pocket. So it gives me just a little bit more of a decorative kind of element, all right? So that's why I trimmed that to 8 inches. Let me actually take that out and we'll put it in the one that we will be decorating. I used the Floral Garden cover for the month of March, and I'm using it again for April because it's kind of nice and springy. But you can use whatever Traveler's Notebook cover that you'd like. If you have a purple one because you love purple, hey, hang tight, hang tight, hey, hang tight, hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. Ooh, I think we might be back. Are we back? I can see me. I can see me again. We're back. Okay, good. We're back. And I know we're back with the camera because I can see me. Are we back with the sound? Aha. My mom called. My mom called while I was filming. And I will tell you, while I was in Japan, I messed with all kinds of settings on my phone because it kept waking me up in the middle of the night. And I think I probably forgot to change my YouTube setting back so that we did not get disturbed. So I'm glad we're back. Anyway, I was just rambling on about cover and whatever. So we're good. You didn't miss anything. Let's just make sure. I think we were here. You saw me put that piece that we cut, that 8-inch piece right here, right? So we are good to go. That is good. Let's talk about slip covering. So I'm going to set this off to the side for a second. I think we have used... I need us to cut one more piece, all right? So this guy that we have left over is 3 3/4 by 4. This one, I want us to trim to 3 inches by 4, all right? So just as a recap, oops, hang on, that's the one I had done. Let me get this other guy out. Just as a recap, these two pieces, this one is 8 inches. So it was 8 inches by 3 3/4. This one is 3 inches by 3 3/4. And they are the pieces that were left over after we cut this off, all right? Yep, we're good. Any of you saying you have no sound, I think you may just be maybe a minute or two behind. So hang tight. Hang tight. I'm just going to type this. If you have no sound, it is back. You may be a minute or two behind. All right, there we go. Good. All right. Okay, so we are going to get our trimmer out of the way. We should not really need our trimmer. If we need it to bring it back, we'll bring it back in. But that's kind of a large trimmer and it's taken up a lot of space. All right, so let's talk about slip covering. As I mentioned, for the last 8 or so years, have been basically changing out my traveler's notebook, changing out the design every month for the last 8 or 9 years. And that started way back when I was working for Simple Stories. So some of you know I worked for a company called Simple Stories for 6 years. And I think now I've been gone for 6 years, 7 years. I might have been gone for 7 years now. Anyhow, while I was at Simple Stories, we launched a brand called Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem was our planner and our traveler's notebook line, kind of part of Simple Stories. So I've been using traveler's notebooks and I've been using a planner forever, since I was in college, but I've been using traveler's notebooks when we launched the Carpe Diem brand for a couple of years. And when we launched that brand, we also launched traveler's notebook inserts. So these guys, right? Your little notebooks that go inside of your traveler's notebook. And for about the first year, the inserts that we launched all had patterns on them. So I would do this. I was decorating my pockets, but I wasn't doing anything with the covers because the covers were already decorated. One year, I decided December was rolling around and I wanted to really kind of decorate my traveler's notebook for the month of December. So if you are, I'm going to see let me see if I can copy this again. I'm just type this again, you guys, apologies. If you have no sound, you are 1 or 2 minutes behind. Give it a minute. If I can ask those of you that are here, if you're here, let's do this. Carrie Meredith. Carrie, you are here. Will you do me a favor? If we continue to have people type in the chat that they have no sound, will you just paste that for me and just say if you have no sound, you're maybe a minute or 2 behind, because I think that's what's going on. All right. And I love that you guys are doing that. And then we will, then we'll be good. All right. I think what's happening is we just have people that are a little bit behind. So it seems like they have no sound because they're behind. All right. So yes, and some of you have heard this story, but it bears repeating, it's worth repeating, especially when we start a new season pass because we have new people. So it was that December, and this is probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago now. And I took pattern paper, I glued the pattern paper to my traveler's notebook insert. And I thought, this is great. And this is actually it. I glued it and I thought, this is great. My traveler's notebook was all decorated for the month of December. And I was so happy because every time I opened my traveler's notebook up, it was nice and Christmassy and fresh. And I loved it until January rolled around. And I went, oh, Lael, that wasn't very smart. You took your traveler's notebook insert that you have been working in that is not full yet. You've only been working in it for November, December for some of your lists, and you glued the paper. Now what are you going to do? Because it's January. You're going to decorate your traveler's notebook, but this is glued on there. So what are you going to do? So clearly, I never used this again. I stopped using it because it was permanently December. So about that time I went, okay, well, that's not going to work. I still want to be able to decorate my traveler's notebook every month, but it's not going to work to glue it every month. So what can I do? I started thinking and I thought, you know what? I bet there's a way that I could temporarily cover and take it off every month and put a new one on every month. And so that's when I came up with the idea of creating the slip covers. If you were ever in elementary school, and I would hazard a guess that pretty much everybody here has been in elementary school, one of the things, and really even in high school, one of the things that happened in the first couple of days of class, you'd go to class, they'd give you your textbooks, and they'd say, hey, for extra credit, we want you to take your book home and we want you to cover it because we need to be able to use these textbooks for the next 82 years. So if you cover your textbook, it's going to protect it, right? right? So what did we do? We went home. We got a brown paper sack that the groceries came in, and we used duct tape or we used packing tape, whatever we used to put a cover on our textbook that would last hopefully the year. And if it didn't last the year, then we'd create a new one and so forth. So that at the end of the year, we take the cover off, we take it back to school, and then it was ready to be used for the next year. So that's basically what we're doing with our traveler's notebook inserts. If you're using a traveler's notebook, and if you purchased the season pass kit with traveler's notebook inserts, then you have 2 traveler's notebook inserts with your kit. So I am using ones that I've previously used because I just moved from month to month, but we're using those 2 traveler's notebook inserts. So I'm going to start with this guy. This is one of my 2 slip-covered inserts, and it is that striped pattern that I am using on the front. That's the one I want to show. I am going to start out by folding this, but I'm going to fold it with the outside facing in. All right, so we want this to be our outside, but we're going to fold it with the outside facing in. The reason we fold outside facing in is because when you fold paper or when you score paper, something happens. And it's not that you did anything wrong, and it's not that the paper is not good paper. When you fold, inevitably, you are going to see breakage in the fibers on that fold, all right? So that crease or that fold is going to cause the fibers of the paper to break. So if we fold with the outside facing in, right? This is the inside, this is the outside. We fold outside facing in. My crease or my fold is on what's really going to be on the inside. So any fiber breakage is going to be on the inside, so I'm not going to see it. So I fold this now the opposite way. So the outside is now facing out. No fiber breakage on that because the fold is on the inside. Now you can kind of see that, right? You see how some of that inside of the white is showing fiber breakage. But if we fold outside facing in, we don't see that. And I do that if I'm doing that on my slip covers, really anytime I'm folding paper, if I'm making a card or something like that. The same thing will happen if you're scoring paper. You'll also see the fiber breakage on kind of the mountain side of that fold, all right? So I'm taking my first insert. There is my fold. I'm placing the spine of that insert on that fold, and then I'm closing it, okay? And then I'm rotating it. Oh, Stacy, I'm glad that was helpful. Stacy said she never knew this. Thank you. So even if you're not using a traveler's notebook, you'll learn something new. You may have learned something new. All right, so I have rotated that. Here is my slip cover. This is the cover of my insert, and there is my insert. Now, if you are using an insert that already has something in it, say maybe a calendar insert, double check to make sure that your insert is not upside down, right? You don't necessarily want it to be upside down because then as you decorate it, you will have decorated it upside down. So just give it a quick look, make sure that it is right side up. So take that, kind of push it nice and tight so it is, it's really kind of even or flush with your fold there. Flatten it out. Take the edge of your pinky and you are going to run that right along the edge of that insert. All right. That is the easiest way to do that, and that is the most precise, exact way. That's the exact measurement that you need. You don't need a ruler, you don't need a scoreboard or anything like that. Use your pinky, use the edge of that as a guide, and that is exactly where your crease or your fold needs to be. Because we are picking that up now, and we are also picking up the front cover of our insert, and we're just tucking that right in, like that. So that is perfectly straight, and that's exactly where we need it to be. And that is why we did not trim the width at all, right? We left our width at 12 inches wide because our inserts are 5 inches wide. That is going to give us roughly an extra inch for our slip cover to fold, all right? And I don't want you to measure, because if you measure and you say, oh, I can do that, Lael, this is 5 inches wide. That means I should be able to fold it an inch and an inch. If you do that, it's going to be, it's not going to be big enough, because this is actually ends up being a little bit wider than 5. You need it to be a little bit wider to kind of go past that, that extra width that you have there, all right? So just do what I do. use your pinky, you'll get it exactly where you need. Now we're going to turn it over and do that exact same thing. Kind of tuck it in, make sure, kind of push it so it's right on that fold. And use your pinky. There we go. That is exactly where we need it to be. Some of you have been doing this with me for the last 8 years. And you know that is the easiest, most precise, exact way to do it. All right, couple things from here. I always like to round my outside corners. So basically here, 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 and here. The reason I like to round the corners is that my Traveler's Notebook inserts have rounded corners. If you do not round the corners, and you don't have to, if you leave that at a 90-degree angle, a right angle, if you don't round those corners, there is nothing there to support that corner because it's rounded underneath. So over time, you will probably end up with some bent corners because it has no support underneath it. So I just take my little corner rounder and I clip and clip and I turn it over. Again, this is where my spine is. I'm not rounding those corners because I'll have a really hard time because my Traveler's Notebook is right there. I'm just rounding the outer corners. All right, now prior to 2026, the bi-monthly Traveler's Notebook project kits, or starting in 2025, the season pass kits, always included washi. And after we did a survey, probably in the fall of 2025, kind of asked some questions about season pass, what you liked about it, what you would like to see changed. One of the things that we heard loud and clear was that you have way too much washi. So season pass kits no longer include washi. The reason I bring up washi is that you may decide to grab some washi tape from your stash and just put a little bit right there, a little bit to temporarily kind of hold this slipcover in place for the month. Now, I don't do that anymore. As long as my inserts are staying in my Traveler's Notebook for the entire month. So basically, as long as I'm not taking one out and throwing it in my purse and just taking an insert with me, I don't have to worry about it staying in place. It's not going to move anywhere. So you'll see here, no washi, and it is fine just kind of hanging out the way that it is. But if you felt like you wanted to add washi, just a little bit here and here, you could to temporarily tack it in place for the month. All right, so we have that guy done. Let me set that one off to the side and let's come in and do this other guy. And then we'll do a little bit of decorating. So same exact process that we did on the first one. This is the outside of my second slipcover. The bunnies I want facing the outside. So I am going to fold that with the outside facing in. And then this is where I get sad because I look at that plaid and I'm like, that plaid is so beautiful. I want to use the plaid, but then I'm like, no, I like the bunnies better, right? You've got so many different, well, you've got 4 papers. You have 8 different options in terms of the patterns that you could use. Now that may be why some of you purchase more than one paper pack, right? More than one of the spring, summer, season pass paper packs because you don't want to have to choose. You want to be able to have, multiples. All right, so there we go. I folded outside in and then unfolded and refolded, and now I've got my outside facing out. We will open that up. The second insert I use every month is a monthly calendar insert. And that's what this is. This is one of my Lail by Mail themed inserts. This is the monthly calendar insert. And I use this every month when I am done creating my setup. I basically use what I have left over for my calendar. So when we're done with our setup, I'll show you what I did with April. But this is the second insert that I am always using. So I'm going to take the spine of that. I will pop it right in there and rotate that again. And make sure that's tucked nice and tight. And then use my pinky and fold that under. I made sure that it is right side up. Now, because this is temporary, right? Even if we were to use washi, if somehow we ended up putting that on upside down, we didn't realize it, it's just temporary. So if we had to pull it off and reposition it, we could. Carrie said, all the papers are so great. This is why you have to buy extra. I know, because you don't want to choose, right? Now, I mentioned there are a couple of different things that I use season pass for. I said one of them was to decorate my traveler's notebook for the month. But I also use it for some of my creative lists. So now that we've kind of looked at the product, at least the papers in the April portion of the spring summer season pass, this was a list that we did a couple of weeks ago. Things I'm looking forward to this spring. So you may not use a traveler's notebook. You may not want to decorate your traveler's notebook every month like I do, but this is an example how I have used some of those products from April, right? We saw that pattern. We saw the pink polka dot. Basically, I used all the B-sides, the opposite sides of what we're using to decorate our traveler's notebook for my little list here. And then I used some of the die cuts. So lots of different things that you can do with Season Pass. Besides, use it to set up your traveler's notebook for the month. All right, so let's come in round the corners here. Oopsie. All righty. Mary said, yay, listing. So ready to get back to listing. I know. So if you normally list with us on Saturdays, our creative listing that we do, we were only together once in March. And that is because our oldest son got married on March 1st, which was a Sunday. So we were out of town because they got married in Seattle. So we couldn't list the first Saturday in March. The second Saturday in March, we were moving to our warehouse. We just moved into a warehouse, super exciting milestone for my business. We did that second Saturday in March. And then that last two Saturdays, I was in Japan. So, well, no, actually, we did list the third, second Saturday, I don't even remember anymore, for our big anniversary. And then anyhow, but we are listing again this Saturday, April 4th. All right, so let's decorate. We will do a side-by-side. So we're going to decorate our slipcovers and then we will decorate our pockets. So let me put this over here, kind of do this like this. So this is, let me just pull this out. It'll be a lot easier. We won't get distracted. All right. So first thing I did, if you are new to Lael, you need to know something that I do, and I do it on everything. Everything. Doesn't matter what kind of project that I am working on. And that is outline. So when you look at these two slipcovers, you will see the one on the right that I have already decorated. I have taken my black Sharpie and just kind of framed it. So you see the difference. To me, some of you like to ink the edges. This could be similar to inking the edges. I know Denise said trademark. It kind of is my trademark. I've been doing it for like 20 some odd years. If I don't do it, it just looks naked to me. So when I do that, I am going to open up my insert. And I definitely recommend that if you are doing this, that you open up your insert. Do not try to, that was weird. I think I just lost us for a minute. It is storming like crazy outside. So hopefully we're not going to have any interruptions due to the weather. Crossing our fingers. All right, so I am opening up my insert. I want to open it up to do my outlining as opposed to trying to do it like this. All right, so I'm opening it up and I am just drawing. You'll notice that my arm is resting on my work surface here. You notice that I go pretty quickly. For me, the faster I go, the better it looks. There's the kind of slower I go, it tends to look a little choppy. So that's the next thing. You'll also notice that I did it in one connected line. I didn't stop at any point there. So I went to here and stopped, and then I will continue to do that. I will go around my corner and stop, and then I will go up this last edge to stop. And it is this last edge. That is why I recommend that you open it up if you are outlining, because if you are outlining like this, you can see there's some bulk here, right? Inevitably, if I get lazy and think, I'm good, I've been doing this for years, I don't need to open it up, I do this and I go, whoop, and accidentally go right off the edge. And if you go off the edge, it's art, right? It's okay. But I find it easier to kind of keep it open like that. All right, so next up, I have used I've used one of my 3x4 cards. So let me show you what 3x4 cards I have used for my April setup. Then that way, if you want to do something different, you'll kind of know what I have used and what I have not used. So I used this guy for my cover right there. On my second insert, I have used that one that says spring. There we go. And then when it comes to decorating my pockets, I've used this guy. And when you can see, I just used a little tiny bit of that. You're only going to see a little tiny bit of that. I have used this one. I used this guy. Now with this guy, basically it's just a little pop of color right there. You're really only seeing a little bit of that light blue. And I mention that because you might be like, well, Lael, that's silly. I don't want to waste that. I'll just not use that, or I might use a piece of light blue cardstock or something that you have. I use this guy. And then I used, let's see, which one is that? I used this, but I didn't use the egg part. I used that part. So I'm using that part to go right here. All right. So I did not use this little guy. If you wanted to use the back of the carrots instead for what we do here, you could. But that will kind of give you an idea of everything that I've used. I basically used everything but one of the cards. I also did not use either of those two cards. So if you think, but Lael, I want to use this and I want to use this, you could cut apart one of these cards and just use a piece of that for your little background that will create right there. All right. Okay, so now let's come back here. And with this guy, we are basically putting him down. Now, I have outlined him. So let's go ahead and outline him before we put him on. It is far easier to outline on your flat work surface as opposed to try to outline on your insert after you've already attached it. Now we'll take our little tape runner here. And when it comes to positioning, for me, I think about if I was hanging something on the wall in my house. If I was hanging a picture on the wall, I would hang it the top third, right? It would be closer to the ceiling than the floor. And it would also be closer to the ceiling than in the middle of the wall. And that is how I would hang something on the wall. That's kind of the same approach that I take when it comes to decorating my slipcover. My little card here is kind of between the ceiling and the top, or the top and the middle. All right. So that's what I do, but really you can put it anywhere you want. If you would rather put it in the middle, you could put it in the middle. If you want to put it in the bottom third, you put it wherever you'd like. And that just went down flat. Now let's take a look at the die cuts that I use. So I have basically separated all of the April, what you'd think of as April, die cuts. Now, many of these die cuts could be used for any of the months in the spring, summer season pass. And that is by design. When you take all the product out, when you take all the paper out, when you take all the die cuts out, you will notice that there are similar colors and similar patterns woven throughout all 3 months. And that is by design, so that maybe you're not decorating something specific to April. Maybe you're working on a scrapbook page, a whole bunch of different scrapbook pages, and you want to be able to mix and match the products. That is how the season pass is designed. But for this, the die cuts that I am looking for, let's see if I can get these off. I need this kind of leaping bunny. I need this little guy, the blossoms, and I need 2 of the 3 eggs. All right, so that is what I have used. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 pieces for my first slipcover. One of the things, there are actually a number of things that you will see consistent in all 3 months of season pass. For example, you will have a kind of a stack of words like that for each month. You will have a kind of split phrase just like that. You will have a month that looks just like this. You will have the month written out that looks just like that. You will have a tab similar to that. And that is by design. So if you're working on a project, let's say maybe you're working on a calendar or maybe you're working on a mini book, you have consistent design from month to month to month to kind of give you some cohesiveness for your full project. All right, so we have those guys. Now, I have used some pop dots or foam squares behind the bunny and behind our little kind of stacked words there. Oh, sorry, that just scared me. Nick just came home, I think. Yeah. And all of a sudden there was a noise in my house and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like all kind of creepy outside and it's windy and it's really gray and it's storming. And I'm like, oh gosh, who's in my house? It's okay, just Nick. I mean, not just Nick, my husband's home, but all right. So when it comes to dimensional adhesive, like a pop dot or a foam square or something like that, generally, I don't use those kind of things in my traveler's notebooks. And when I say I don't use them in my traveler's notebooks, I mean I don't use them like in my inserts on any of my lists. And I don't use them on the inside because, let's say this cute little girl here, hi honey, this cute little girl here, if I had put a pop dot or foam square behind her, she'd be really cute here because she would be lifted up. However, when I turned the page and started trying to write over here, I'd have a heck of a time because part of her would be lifted up and then the rest of the page wouldn't, right? So I'd kind of have a hard time writing or stamping. So when it comes to any kind of dimensional adhesive inside my insert, I don't use anything. But when it comes to my pockets and decorating my slipcovers, I absolutely do use the dimensional adhesive or my foam squares or pop dots because I like that look. So we're going to take our cute little leaping bunny here and I am going to add some foam squares behind it, behind him, her, I don't know, behind it. Maybe it's a unisex bunny, I don't know. It's an it. Just because it has flowers on it doesn't mean it's a her. If it had a bow tie, it wouldn't have to be a him, although it does have a cute little flower in its hair, but still it could be, and it's hair, get it? Hair, it's a hair. Oh, anyhow. All right, so here is my bunny, and my bunny is just going kind of right there. It's leaping over the words that say spring memories. Now I have my two little eggs, and my eggs are going down flat. I have my eggs going down flat because I would like that to be pop dotted. So let's just get a little bit of adhesive behind these little eggs. And we'll put one right here. And we'll put the other one right there. If you watched my unboxing or reveal of Season Pass, I'm going to also put my pop dots there. The Spring Summer Season Pass. One of the things that I mentioned was that we have a new manufacturer now for our die cuts. And they are amazing. So they are beautifully printed. They are cut very precisely and love that change that we've made. So if you were using the Winter Spring Season Pass, you may have noticed a little difference here. All right, let's see. Oh gosh. I remember you told me Allison, is it Allison? Allison, I think. Allison said, so adorable. I'm brand new to listing, but have a lifetime of scrapbook supplies, so must use what I have. And that's a best thing, Allison, really about what we're doing here. If we're decorating our traveler's notebook for the month, or if we're doing our creative listing, anything that you have works, right? Anything that you have works. So if you have a whole stash of products, absolutely dig in your stash and pull it out and start playing. All right, so there we go. That's our first insert. Nice and cute, right? So I'm going to leave this guy out because I am going to show you when we're done how I decorated April. But if you're putting it in right now and you're new to Traveler's Notebooks, you're basically just taking your insert and you are sliding it through your elastics. If you're new to Traveler's Notebooks, there is a free class on my website. It's kind of an intro to Traveler's Notebooks 101 that will give you a full rundown on what they are, how to use them, and the many, many different things that you can use them for. All right, so we really won't go into that here. Now we're ready for our second insert. So let me pull this guy out. Let me put this guy back in. Actually, we can put this guy in here. Put this one in here just to get it out of our way. And now we're ready to decorate our second insert. So we're going to take our, what have I done here? I need, where's my oh, here it is, duh, I already did it. I lost it. I'm like, wait, I had it. All right, so I'm gonna do my quick outlining, and you'll notice again, I am going to be good, and I am opening this up, so my outlining will be nice. There's one thing I wanna show you about outlining. If you hesitate, and what I mean is if you hesitate, I just did one fell swoop there. If you hesitate, and I will bring this up close and show you. So this is what I'm doing a straight line. One straight line without kind of interrupting. If you hesitate, what happens? You end up having like a little bit more ink when you stop, right? So when you start and stop, start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. Do you see how that ink, when I stop and start again, is kind of depositing itself? And I've kind of exaggerated just so you could really see. If you hesitate, you'll kind of see extra blobs, I guess, of ink like that. But if you do it purposefully, it can actually look like you have stitched it with a sewing machine. You know, when you sew a sewing machine where the needle kind of, I'm not a sewer, so I don't even know the right terminology here. The needle goes in there and then it sews, and in there and it sews. And every time it goes in, it kind of creates a little bit more thread. So if you hesitate, but you hesitate purposefully, it can kind of look like you have machine stitched it without having to get out your sewing machine. Okay, so we have this guy that we're using. Now, if I put that on there, it's cute, but really that kind of gets lost because it's white and it's going on a paper that has a lot of white. So I could do that, but I don't want to do that. When we were cutting our polka dot paper, I had us cut this little piece, right? So this piece is, let me get out my other trimmer because we will need to cut a little piece here. Let me get this guy. This piece is 3 inches wide by 3 by 4. So what we want to do with that, this guy is also 3 by 4. I would like this to be a background, so it will help to kind of break up that white on that kind of white. So if this is 3 by 4 and this is 3 by 4, I need to make this a little bit smaller. So what I'm going to do is I am going to trim about 1/8 of an inch off of all 4 sides. Okay, so if I do that on all 4 sides, and I want to do that on all 4 sides so I end up with my design being, you know, still centered. If I take 1/8 of an inch, and if you don't have a trimmer that has 1/8 of an inch, just take a little bit off of all 4 sides. So we end up with this piece now being 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. All right. And just by kind of matting that, that really now is going to make that piece pop. So let's add our adhesive, put this down like that. And again, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to outline that because to me it just looks naked if I don't. Alrighty, you probably hear him making the other room. I may need to shut the door. Let me shut the door just because I think he's making dinner. And so you're hearing lots of kitchen noises possibly. Alrighty. So there we go, add our adhesive, and this little guy is going to go down as well. Now, before you put him down, you'll see I have added that little tab die cut. So I didn't put adhesive all the way up at the top. That will let me kind of slide that right underneath, like that. And I want this little orange tab. adhesive on the orange tab. And this little guy is just going to tuck right in there. Isn't that so cute with those little squigglies on it? And your little squigglies on your little tab. And then I'm going to take a word strip sticker. So we gotta put something on the tab. We can't have a naked tab. So your word strip stickers, you have a color flood behind each kind of section or month, and it's just very loosely based on month. So your yellow is kind of for April, your mint is kind of for May, and your blue is kind of for June. But you'll also see there are words here that definitely will work for lots of different things. Your white is just kind of general, would work for anything, any type of word strip sticker. So I say Easter Sunday. So Easter Sunday, yellow. Your yellows definitely work for April, but then again, life currently, a weekend of fun, play all day, a day of glimmers, those really work on any of the months. But because we have some yellow in here, I am using yellow, and I am using the one that says a beautiful day. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 4th row down on the right edge. If you have trouble pulling that off, you notice how I just kind of bent that a little bit, just curved it a little bit. That makes it a little bit easier to lift that right off. Alrighty. So this is going to go right there. And it just so happens, and this is not by design, but it just so happens that it pretty much fits perfectly. All right, so it seemed like it was just a little too plain, and I thought, well, let's add something. So I added that little yellow tulip or a little yellow flower. So we'll just, with this one, I'm going to use a glue pen. So funny, my hands are looking very blue. The jeans that I have on, I have had for quite a while, and I just washed them yesterday. And the blue, they're such dark blue that the blue is like bleeding off on my hands. So if I'm looking a little blue, don't worry about my oxygen levels. All right, so our second insert is done. So that guy, we are just going to I'll put in my, put in my sample. Got a little pop dot on there. I'm gonna put in my sample, and then I will also put it in the one that we're working on. Now, your Traveler's Notebook inserts, or your Traveler's Notebooks, excuse me, if you're using mine, and many Traveler's Notebooks are this way, they have multiple elastics, right? So I am only using 2 of the 4 elastics, but you could continue to use the product that you have in Season Pass or many other, paper that you have, and slip cover and decorate 2 more inserts if you wanted, so that you could have 4 inserts in there with the elastics. Okay, so now we are ready to start decorating our pockets. So let's do this. We're going to put this guy right here, and we will work side by side. So when I decorate pockets, and this is how I do it when I'm designing, so we'll do it the same way. I usually start with the cards. So I load up the cards, and then I come back in and load up the die cuts, and then I come back in and load up the stickers. Well, let's start, and then we'll have to do something here before we can continue. So we are starting with this guy. Now with this guy, I'm only using, when you see, we only use a little bit of that pattern. So if you wanted, you could just cut off a little bit of that pattern and use the rest of the card for something else. Like maybe you cut out the inside of that card, because we only really need a little bit of that. Or you also have this full sheet. So if you think, oh, I'd like to use this card for something, you could cut off a little bit of that if you wanted some pattern right there. If you didn't, you could just really start with that card and have that card be your top, all right? So this is the card I'm starting with. I have outlined all of these cards as well. So we'll get those outlined. And pop it in. And as we are doing this, you'll notice I am not adhering anything. All I'm doing is sliding the cards in. When you decorate your pockets, you'll find you need very little adhesive, because you end up, by adding one of the pieces, like this piece is going to end up connecting this piece and this piece together. So we don't want to add any adhesive until the time is right. It's just going to kind of be floating for now. Also outlining this guy. If you are using a different traveler's notebook cover than the one I am using, you may have a different pocket configuration. If you have a different pocket configuration, that means that you may need to alter a little bit kind of what you're putting in your pockets to fit that configuration. All right, so on this one, really all I'm doing is I'm tucking that in the second pocket, and really the only thing you're going to end up seeing is really the word April. Now, when I am done with April and I start setting up May, I could pull this card out and use it for anything I wanted so we could see the full April showers bring May flowers. But for now, all we're really seeing is April as we tuck that in. And I'm not really going to worry about kind of where they're sitting. I'm going to get them in, and then as we start adding things, we may need to readjust a little bit. On this guy, I'm really just using a little tiny bit. You can barely see that little light blue poking out. So you can decide, you might be like, wow, that card is too cute. I don't want to waste it in a pocket. I will either go without, or I will find something in my stash and put it there instead. Okay, that guy goes next. And then we have this little guy next. If you are not using the cards for a traveler's notebook, you will notice on some of the cards, they are designed with the art and the kind of top third of the card. And that is for a reason. That is so that when we are tucking it in the pocket, you can still see that art. If you are not using this to decorate a traveler's notebook pocket, you have this little room down there. You could add a date. You could put a rub-on down there. You could put a sticker down there. You have kind of that little blank space to put whatever you need. But there's a lot of thought that goes into how the cards are designed based on how they will get used over here. All right, so this little guy is going in next. Maybe about right there. Now we come to this guy. This guy right here. In your traveler's notebooks, this is prime real estate, right? If we didn't do any decorating right there, when you see that, it looks really plain. It's like, whoa, like that feels like we need to do something with that, right? I prefer not to add stickers or anything like that directly to my traveler's notebook cover, directly on there. So what we can do is create a little piece that will tuck into this pocket and sit on top of that area so we are able to kind of decorate with it. Excuse me. Let me grab a quick sip of water. Hydration break. If you have not been having anything to drink, good time for a hydration break. Okay, thank you. All right. So I mentioned that I had used this card, but I had used this side of this card. When we see down here, I've done a little bit of stamping, and I have added some rub-ons to that, and then I decorate around that. So you have a choice. You could use the backside of this card like I have. You could use the backside of your carrots like I have, or you could even use well, you can't really use this piece because this piece I had slid. Well, actually you could. If you didn't want to have that little piece right there, you could use a piece of that pink. You could even use the plaid there, might even be cute, right? So you have some choices in terms of what you want to use there. The piece that you want to start with is 3x4. All right, so this piece, it's 3x4 card. I'm starting with 3x4 card. Usually what I do is I set it here. I figure out where I want it to sit, and that's where I know where I want to fold it. So I don't measure, just kind of look at it like that. I'd like it to sit about right there towards the bottom. I made a little mark with my fingernail, and that is where I would like to fold it. So let's see where I ended up folding it, if you don't want to guess. That is about, I folded, it's just a little bit shy of 1.25 inches, all right, where my fold is. Because now, when I'm ready, I can take that fold, tuck it right in that pocket, and then that sits right on top of my pocket. I didn't quite get it in there good, but that will sit right on top of my pocket. all right? But we don't want to do that yet because we need to decorate this first. And when it comes to decorating, you'll see I have added, I've done some stamping, I've done rub-ons, and then I've added, there's another rub-on, and then I've added some die cuts. I will tell you, you definitely want to do this before you put it in your traveler's notebook. And this is why. I didn't do that. You'll look at my stamp, and actually this turned out rather well, considering what I did. Do you see in the center of that, my stamped image? Pretty much you can't read the word of. That's because guess what I did? I left it in here and stamped on it, which is not a good idea. You don't have a very flat surface to do that. So we're going to do it the right way here. I have my card pulled out. I'm going to just fold it like that, just so it's really easy to see where the top of that card is kind of ending. Do my little outlining. So I have stamped with the stamps from the Spring Summer Season Pass. That is the stamp set. Now I have already used these obviously in my setup, but there's something we want to talk about, especially if you are new to stamping. And this applies to any stamps, especially any of my stamps, but really any stamps that you purchase. And those would be any of your clear stamps. If you're using like red rubber stamps on a wooden block, this does not apply. But you want to prime or condition your stamps before you use them. There's a very specific reason for that. If you have ever used a clear stamp and you've used it right out of the package, you've inked it up and started using it, and you didn't really like the way that it looked. Maybe it was kind of splotchy. There were parts where maybe the ink looks like it didn't adhere very well or stick very well. There's a reason for that. Based on the way that your stamps are manufactured, my stamps are photopolymer stamps. They're made in the US. Part of that manufacturing process, they're basically creating a mold. They're creating a mold that they pour the liquid polymer in, and then that polymer sets, and that as it sets, it's creating your stamped image. When they have that mold ready to go, before they put the polymer in, before they put the liquid in, they spray something in there. They put something in there so that the stamp, when it is set, releases very easily. It's almost like if you're making muffins. You are spraying your muffin tin with Pam so that the muffin releases when it's cooked so it doesn't stick, right? So let's just pretend that's what they've done here. They've sprayed Pam in the mold so that the stamp releases. It's not really Pam, but we all can kind of understand that. So when they do that, there's a little bit of that residue left over on the stamp, right? The Pam is on your muffin, right? You don't taste it, you don't see it, but it's there. Same thing is happening on your stamps. That residue is still there. So if you start inking right away before you've removed that residue, you may not like the way your stamped impression looks, because if that residue is on part of the stamp, the ink can't stick, right? So there's a really easy way to get that off. There's a couple of ways that you can get that off. On the stamps, on the packaging, and I don't have the packaging handy, when you turn over the back of the packaging, you will see there's a QR code. That QR code will take you, when you open up the camera on your phone and look at the QR code through the camera on your phone, it will take you to a free class here on my website or here on my YouTube channel that guides you through a couple of different ways that you can prime or condition your stamps before you use them. It doesn't really matter which way you do, but it's a good idea to do it so you like the way that your stamps look when you're stamping with them. If you've never done that and you didn't know and you've kind of not liked stamping, that definitely could be one of the reasons why. So one of the ways that I teach you that I do is I just use a little eraser. I don't use this eraser for erasing anything else. Like I don't erase my pencil with this. I just use this for priming or conditioning my stamps. And then what I do is I just go over the top of those stamps very lightly. And I have some of the stamps already pulled off because I have them on my stamping blocks all ready to use. But I would go over them very lightly. I'm basically just getting rid of that residue. You can't see it, but we're getting rid of it. Once I do that, I need to clean that off. Now, I have done something with my stamp chamois. I have no idea where it is. And I remembered that today as I was getting ready. And now that the product is no longer in my house and it's at the warehouse, I couldn't just run downstairs and get a new stamp chamois. So I'm just using a damp paper towel. But you want to go in and clean that off, right? So we just want to make sure that we don't have any of those eraser, tailings on there. The residue that's left over after we erase. Clean that off, and then a very important part of the process, you want to dry it off. So I'm just using a microfiber towel here, so there's no lint. I'm not putting any lint now on my stamps after I've cleaned them. That's one way you can do it. Some people will just ink up the stamp and test stamp it a bunch of times until it looks good, and then you're ready to go. Other people will take the stamp and basically do this. They'll put it on their arm. Now, for me, I don't do that because I live in Utah. It's very dry here. Generally, my skin is really dry, or I have a lot of lotion on it. So if I'm doing this to primer condition my stamp, I'm removing the residue and it's going on my arm, but at the same time, it's picking up any lotion or dry skin or whatever. So a couple of different ways you can do it. Doesn't really matter which way you do it, but it's a really good idea to do one of those methods before you start using your brand new stamps. I promise you it will make a huge difference in your stamping. Okay, so I've done that. I have taken this stamp, this stacked word art, and I have stamped it on that card. And I have used green. The colors, the ink colors that I have matched for the spring summer season pass. You would have seen them on the email that went out for class. You will also see them on the website with any of the spring summer season pass products. I use Distress Oxide ink, so those are the colors that I match if you are looking for matches. So Kitsch Flamingo, and I have pulled colors that work for the entire spring summer season pass. So this pink would work with any of the pinks in any of the months. That's Kitsch Flamingo, Spiced Marmalade, Squeezed Lemonade, and again, any of the season pass products on the website, the spring summer, you will see these listed. Cracked Pistachio, Mowed Lawn, which is the one I'm using for my stamping right now, Speckled Egg, Broken China, Faded Jeans, and Milled Lavender. Now that's 9 colors. You might go, holy cow, Lael, I don't have any of those colors. I don't want to have to buy 9 colors to use this. Those are just colors that I have matched. So if you are looking for colors that will coordinate with spring, summer, those are the colors that coordinate. And you could use one, you could use them all, you could use none, you could use whatever inks you have, but those are the colors that I have matched. So I'm going to use Mowed Lawn. And Mowed Lawn is right here. You will see I have put Mowed Lawn, I don't know, about, let's see, how far up did I put it? I stamped that about between a half, wait, where are we? About a half of an inch from the bottom. So I'll just take my little pencil here and I will mark it about a half of an inch from the bottom, and that will kind of be my placement for the bottom of that stamp. Right, about right there. And that's not where you have to put it, that's just where I put it, if you want to know. Now I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper. I always, always, always recommend that you test stamp before you stamp on your project, right? Because you can see, did you get it inked up well enough? Is it clean? Is there any dirt or little lint or specks of dust? Is it straight? All of the things that you would like to know before you actually stamp on your project. So always, always, always test stamp ahead of time. So I'm inking that up, and let's see what we think. That is upside down. That's another reason why we test stamp first, right? I could have just, if I had gone in, I might have stamped that upside down. All right, there we go, that looks good. Another thing that you can gain from test stamping is an understanding of how much pressure you need to apply. Usually what I see when people first start out stamping, they apply way more pressure than they need to. I mean, pressure is really important when it comes to stamping. If you apply too much pressure, it will flatten out the polymer or the stamp, and it tends to make it a little bit blurry in places. So mess with that. Press really, really hard and see what happens. Press not hard at all and see what happens. You start to get a feel for how much pressure you need to apply. All right, we do want to re-ink that because there's not enough ink on that after I have stamped once to give me a nice clean impression. So I want to stamp that again. And I am going to stamp right there. Now, when I stamp, I want to stamp with intention, right? I want to be confident as I'm stamping. If I'm scared and I'm kind of like, I could drop the block. I might I might get it crooked. So you want to be confident. And if you're not confident when you're stamping, then test. Play around on a piece of scratch paper first, right? The more that you practice, the more you play, the more confident you'll feel. So I went in with confidence. It looks great, nice and crisp. And that is one of the things that a photopolymer stamp will give you. You get nice, crisp detail that in general you don't see when you are stamping with an acrylic stamp. And if you're like, Lael, I don't even know, are my stamps acrylic or my stamps photopolymer? Crispness, if you are stamping and you notice that things aren't super crisp, it's probably acrylic. The other way is price. Acrylic stamps are quite a bit less expensive than your photopolymer stamps. So if you bought a 6x8 stamp set and it cost you $2.98 at Michael's, that's an acrylic stamp, right? Probably made in China, different manufacturing process, doesn't give you the nice crisp detail that a photopolymer stamp would. All right, so there we go. And that green works really well with the green in the product that I am using for April. All right, so the next thing I did, I have added all those cute little butterflies. So those butterflies are from the rub-on pack. And we will do kind of a little rub-on refresher, a rub-on 101, if you haven't used rub-ons before, or if you haven't used rub-ons for a long time. I will tell you my rub-ons are amazing quality. And I will tell you that, but other people will tell you that as well. So don't take my word for it. Carrie just reminded me of one thing. She said, Lael's 2 rules, practice, stamp, and right size. The other thing, what she meant when she said right size, one of the biggest things besides practice stamping that will make a huge difference in the outcome of your stamping is to right size your stamping block to your stamp. And you'll notice that stamp that I had on there fit my stamping block pretty well. If I only had one stamping block, it would have to be probably a pretty large stamping block because it would have to fit my largest stamp. Where are my large stamping blocks? Well, let's pretend this was a stamping block. This is actually a pencil board, but let's pretend that's a stamping block. If that's the only stamping block I had, then that's the one I would have to use, right? And it would work on there. It would definitely work on there. But the larger your stamping block is in relation to your stamp, the harder it is to handle. So if I have a little stamp here on a large stamping block, I'm trying to get it even and get a nice even impression. Makes it a lot more difficult when I'm stamping. So if you can have a kind of a variety of stamping block sizes for your stamps, it just makes life a lot easier. All right, rub-ons. So when you open your package of rub-ons, my rub-ons include a little rub-on applicator, aka a popsicle stick, right? Popsicle stick, you basically need something blunt to use with your rub-on. So you can use popsicle stick or whatever you have. As we open up the package, you'll notice there are 2 sheets. There is a black sheet and a colored sheet. But behind each of those sheets is a backer sheet. That backer sheet is very important. You kind of feel it. It's kind of a little bit sticky. It's kind of a little bit slick. You want to make sure that your rub-on sheet does not become separated from that backer sheet. The reason is because that little backer sheet there is to protect the rub-on so that your rub-ons do not end up rubbing on somewhere you do not want them to rub onto. So you have a rub-on sheet and you also have a protective backer sheet for each one. First thing I do when I open new rub-ons is I staple the rub-on sheet to the backer sheet. That is going to make sure that those do not become separated. That is going to significantly reduce the possibility of a rub-on getting rubbed somewhere where I don't want it to, all right? So it's a really good habit to get into. Open up your rub-ons before you use them and staple. Okay, first thing. Next thing, we are ready to, we're looking for actually 2 rub-ons The first one we're looking for is this little guy. That is a scallop border. So that scallop border is coming from here. Now, I only used part of that. Basically, I used part to go right along the bottom of that piece. So what I'm going to do here, I am going to come in and I'm actually going to cut all the way across this sheet. As you look at the rub-ons, the colored sheet, they are all divided, separated by kind of a full line of design. That full line means everything above is intended for April. You don't have to use it all for April, but kind of everything above that line is April, which means now everything above this line is May and everything above this line is June. So if you're not sure what to use when and you'd like some guidance, then that's kind of the guidance. But look what I just did. My staple is here. I no longer have these two pieces stapled, so I want to definitely come in and staple, right? That is going to protect to make sure I don't lose any of those rub-ons on something else, all right? So that's the first thing. Now, I'm ready to use part of this. My rule of thumb is to always cut the rub-on that I want to use away from the rest of the sheet. All right, now here, part of my bunny is covering that little strip. So I really don't need this strip to fit the full width of my card here. So, because I'm just wasting it, right? If it's under the bunny, I can't see it. I'm just wasting it. So I need, I'm going to say about 2 inches of this rub-on. So let's look in here and see about what 2 inches of that strip is. And I'm going to snip it right here. All right, whoopsie. So I've snipped it right there. And now I'm going to come in and cut this away from the sheet. That makes it much easier for me to handle. Instead of trying to handle all of this rub-on sheet and only get this little piece rubbed on, now I'm only working with the piece that I want to get rubbed on. All right? So this is all still nice and great, and I can use that rest of that for whatever I want. I'm separating. I no longer need this protective backer because I'm ready to use this. This is a really important part when it comes to rub-ons. You want to put it down and not let go. You also want to put it down, be pretty sure where you want it to go, because once you set it down, the rub-ons are sticky on the back. If I set it right here and go, whoops, I dropped it, I didn't mean for it to go there, guess what? It's going to go there now, because you really don't want to try to lift it back up. Part of it will lift back up, part of it won't. So make sure you know where you want it to go. And I know I want it to go about right there. And I'm holding on. I don't want to let go at this point, all right? Rub-ons, the way rub-ons work is through pressure. You are basically rubbing on the art. You're transferring it from the sheet onto whatever you're rubbing it onto, and you're doing that with pressure. So I want to make sure that stays in place. If I start rubbing part of it on and then I move it, there's going to end up being a crack in my rub-on, right? Because it moved. So I want to make sure to be holding on the entire time. I'm going to take my little popsicle stick here, and I just start rubbing. I'm not letting go, right? I'm holding on nice and firmly over to this side. I start moving my fingers a little bit, start moving my fingers a little bit more. But eventually, I can only go so far. I'm not holding on anymore, right? So what I want to do, I'm going to rotate this. I've now put this finger here, right? I want to make sure I am constantly holding on. I've never let go of that. I just moved my fingers so that now I can access this part over here that I haven't rubbed on. I make this sound far more complicated than it really is, but if you haven't used rub-ons before, or it's been a while since you've used rub-ons, it's really important to me that I kind of give you a refresher. All right, so I think I'm done, right? But I don't really know, because what if part of that is rubbed on and part of it isn't? Again, if I completely lift up and part of it has not rubbed on, I need to try to set it down and set it down in the same place where it hasn't moved and so forth. So as long as I'm still holding on, I'm good. I'm going to grab my little tweezers here and I'm going to lift up. And as I slowly lift up, I can see, is it rubbed on? Is it rubbed on? Is it rubbed on? If I hit right here and part of it wasn't rubbed on, I could lay it right back down, get my popsicle stick out and rub the part that had not rubbed on yet. And because I haven't moved, I've been holding on the entire time, it's fine. But if I haven't held on anymore, chances are that rub-on is moved and then I may end up with a split or a crack in my rub-on. All right, looks good. I'm just gonna take my finger and go over the top of it, and now my rub-on is rubbed on. The beauty of rub-ons is that you don't have any kind of halo or any kind of white border like you sometimes have with a sticker or like you have with a die cut. This is what I mean by like a halo, right? That die cut has a white border all the way around that. If I put that on here, we can tell it's not part of it, but that rub-on looks like it was part of it, right? So rub-ons definitely have a place in kind of the assortment of products that we work with. Second rub-on we're using is now on the black sheet. So with Season Pass, you will always have a colored sheet and a black sheet. Colored sheet, the colors definitely work with the Season Pass that you're working with. So in this case, spring, summer. But the black sheet, that will work with anything, right? And the black is that way on purpose so that you could use it with Season Pass, but you could use it with any other product that you have or that you're working with. We want those little butterflies. So we are coming in and we are cutting them away from the sheet again. We don't have to worry about restapling because we haven't separated. Our staple is still holding everything in place. Now, my little butterflies are, let me look at here. They're just going, I don't know, probably about right there, right? We just want them to, looks like this little guy, that bottom guy is right above the TH. All right, so that bottom solid black butterfly is right above my TH and thoughts. And again, we're gonna repeat the same process. We are going over that with our popsicle stick. If you look closely, if you're working with your rub-on right now, the black's really easy to see when it has released because it kind of turns an opaque gray color. That is because the black, the design is transferred off of the sheet onto whatever you're rubbing it onto. So I can see pretty well that that has released, but I don't want to assume, you know what they say when you assume. So I want to assume, don't want to assume that everything's okay. I'm still holding on, lifting up with my tweezers. If any part of that hadn't rubbed on, I just lay it right back down, pick up my popsicle stick, go over the area where it wasn't rubbed on, and then kind of repeat, rinse and repeat. There we go. Looks good. All right. So rub-ons are pretty awesome, and rub-ons, actually, you can use them very quickly. I just took a lot of time to explain, so we're all on the same page. So now this guy is ready to tuck into. I've done all the decorating I need to do on my flat surface, right? The rest of it, adding my die cuts, I don't need to have a flat surface for that. So we're going to go ahead and tuck this in. So this little flap that we created tucks into that bottom pocket. And the rest of it is going to sit on top. Now, when we were looking at this before, I mentioned I had a little bit of residue. That is a little bit of adhesive from my mark setup. I do need to have a little bit of adhesive there because I need something to hold that down. If I don't put any adhesive right there, that's just going to kind of be up in the air all of the time. So I pressed it down hard enough. That's probably not quite enough adhesive. I'm just going to put a little bit right back in that same space and press it down. That adhesive, if you ever don't want anything in that bottom space, so like here, if you wanted to leave that bottom space blank and you wanted to get that adhesive off, I wouldn't recommend trying to pull it off with tweezers because you may pull off the top layer of the pleather or the, fake leather here. Usually what I will do is get some Goo Gone or something like that on a little bit of a paper towel and just kind of rub it until it comes off. But I'm always doing something like that in my traveler's notebook. So the fact that it has a little bit of residue there doesn't bug me. All right, so now we are ready to start back up at the top again. And we're going to get our die cuts. So starting with this little flag that says, oh, hey, spring. Oh, hey, spring. That color combination, I love that. I love pink and green together. It reminds me of high school. I was in high school in the 80s when the Preppy handbook came out. And if you were into that kind of thing, the preppy look, pink and green was a very preppy color combination. Like that, I like that color combination. I also like, where did my pop dots go? I also like pink and orange together. I love that combination. All right, Leo, if I were pop dots, where would I be? Where would I be? I have no idea, so let's grab some more. Okay, here we go. So I have added a little bit of adhesive behind, or little glue pen on the little stick. And then I am just adding 2 pop dots right there. So I want it to kind of look like it has a little, like it's kind of floating in the air. If I only put pop dots on some of it and not all of it, it'll kind of give it that effect, right? Because only part of it is popped. So it will make it look like it's kind of floating in the air. All right, next up, I have this cute little Easter basket with the bunny peeking out. Isn't that cute? The little bunny's like, hey, hey. All right, so it looks like I just put a couple pop dots here. And I do like to use pop dots when I'm decorating my pockets. Again, just gives it a fun little dimension, especially since I don't use them in other places. So that looks pretty good right there. So I can still see that that says April. We might as well get our word strip sticker out since I've only used one in the pockets. We'll use the one that says Hello Spring. Also yellow, because I'm pulling in the yellow here with the yellow down here and the little yellow chicks. So Hello Spring is right here. 3rd row down, 2nd in from the left. And that little guy is going to go right on that little wooden Easter basket, like a grapevine wreath Easter basket. All right, next up we have 2 carrots. We have a cluster of carrots, and then we have a single carrot, a bunch and a single. Mary said, Lael, the color on these rub-ons is absolutely amazing. Isn't it? Like, holy cow, so vibrant. Like, you look at this and it's like, like so good, right? I know. And it's the spring is really cute, April, but when I look at these colors for May and June, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so good. So good. My designer, Becky, did an amazing job on this collection. She is an incredibly talented designer. And she gets me like no other designer has ever gotten me. What I mean by that is the way the design process works. And I'm just kind of, oh, don't do that one yet, Lil. Let's start with this guy. I'm just kind of working and talking, but I just put little pop dot behind the greenery on that guy. And this one kind of goes just right here. And then these guys will go right below it. What I was saying, so the way, at least for me, the way the design process is, like when it comes to season pass, I put together an inspiration board. And I say, I might find eggs that I saw in a magazine, and I might have taken a picture of the eggs in the magazine, and then that goes in the inspiration board. And maybe I see tulips, and maybe they look nothing like these tulips, but I put tulips in the inspiration board, and I put bunnies in the inspiration board. And in this particular collection, I saw something that had flowers on part of whatever it was. And I put that in the inspiration board because I loved that look. And then Becky and I sit down and we go through the inspiration board. And I say, this is what I liked about this. This is what I liked about this. And she might look at something I put on there. Maybe I had a sweater, and on that sweater, it had pink and green. And she looks at that and says, Lael, what is it about that sweater that you really like? And I'm like, oh, I don't like the stripes, but I really love the pink and green combination. She's like, okay. So we talk about all those things. And then she comes back with a couple of assets. And the assets might be a bunny that looks like that. And it might be a carrot. And it might be an egg. And she says, okay, how are we doing? How do those things look? Is that good direction for the collection and the color palette and stuff? And I say, oh, yes, I love it. Or I say, ooh, you know what? That bunny wasn't quite what I had in mind. Could you make them a little less brown? Or could you make them happier looking or whatever? So we kind of go through that process back and forth. And then she runs with it. And what she creates is just holy cow. Like just... there's been a huge difference in design in season pass in 2026 versus 2025. And it's because Becky. The design process hasn't changed. It stayed the same, but what she gets of me is just, like I said, she gets me like no one ever has before. She's incredibly talented. All right. So the next thing we have is a cute little chick. We actually have 2 chicks, so we might as well grab 2 chicks right now. And you'll notice that the chicks also kind of carry that same flower theme that we saw on the bunnies. There's cute little flowers on the chicks, which just makes it so cute. All right, so this chick that is facing right, we put a little pop dot behind its head. There's my pop dots. I now have 2 sheets. They were probably sitting there the whole time. So this little chick is kind of going right here. And then we have our second chick. Second chick is flat because this is going to be on top of it. So let's just add a little bit here. And this chick is kind of standing right on top of Snapshots. And how cute is it? It's eating its like little feet on the ground. Those little details. All right, next up we have our third egg. I love this color combination too. Well, it's still green, but this is almost, you've got green and then you have a little bit of teal there as well. And we have that little guy is popped up a bit. So we'll just add a couple foam squares on the egg. And that will go kind of right up in here. So what I'm also doing, I'm adding color, but I'm also kind of filling in some empty space, right? So we have that kind of white space there that just sticks out like a sore thumb. And we put that little egg there to kind of bring all of that together and kind of join those 2 pieces together. And then last but not least, we have this cute little bunny that has looking at that little butterfly. And it looks like I just put foam squares kind of on the bottom, not on the whole thing. And that's just me. I feel like if you popped out the whole thing, or if you popped out part of it and not the whole thing, it gives it a little bit of a different look to it. And then this guy is just kind of here. Now, we end up covering up part of our stamp, but that's okay. Because if we showed all of the stamp, we wouldn't be able to have our little bunny there. Oh, one more. This little guy. Happiness is waking up to a sunny spring day. Hello, yes. Much more happiness than waking up to a rainy day or a snowy day, right? I don't know. I guess it depends on what time of year it is. If it's the beginning of winter, sometimes happiness is waking up to a snowy day, but not right now. All right, and then this little guy is just going to kind of go right in there like that. All right, so our Traveler's Notebook. Nicole, is this the same Becky of Page Maps fame back in the day? Nicole, it is. Becky Fleck. It is the same Becky. Some of you may also know Becky from Photoplay. Becky was one of the designers at Photoplay for quite a while. Becky and I actually go way back. Becky and I work together at Basic Gray. That's when I originally met Becky. And that goes back to, oh my gosh, I want to say probably 2008. So she and I have known each other forever. But yeah, a lot of what you see with my brand in 2026 is Becky, right? It's like I said, she and I just work so well together, and oh my gosh, we have so many fun things coming. Guess what? Guess what we're finishing right now? Christmas. Do you believe that? In March, you have to work on Christmas, but that's how things work in the world where you're manufacturing product. So yeah, we're just wrapping up Christmas, and in May, beginning of May is our next paper collection, and that is a travel collection, and that is all done. It's all in stock today. The paper just got delivered, and the 6x8 paper pad. We're doing 6x8 paper pads now too. All right, so that is our setup for April, but there's one more thing that I want to show you. As I mentioned, when we were doing our slipcover for this guy, I mentioned that I was using the monthly Traveler's Notebook insert, my monthly insert for my calendar. And at the end of every month, after I have decorated my Traveler's Notebook for the month, I then take what I have left over and do my calendar. Now, really quick before I show you that, whether or not you use a Traveler's Notebook, Everything that we've done today can really translate to any type of project, right? If you're a card maker, you could use those those pieces to make a cute card. If you are a scrapbooker, that could be an element on one of your 12 by 12 layouts. If you work in pocket pages, we've used a lot of those 3 by 4 cards that you could stick in the pockets, and then on top of the pocket, add some of your little die cut elements. So even though I am using this product in tonight's session for my Traveler's Notebook, it can work for anything. Just as I showed you the list that we did a couple weeks ago using April for a list of things I'm looking forward to this spring. So a lot of versatility in Season Pass. Okay, so the last part of the versatility, I guess I'll show you, is my calendar. So just to give you an idea, this is, let's look and see what we've done so far. That was my calendar for January using leftovers from the January portion of the winter spring season pass. That was February, again, using all leftovers. So I didn't open up any new package that you don't already have, just using leftovers. This one was March, using a combination of the die cuts and the word strips, stickers, and the rub-ons and the stamps. And this is what I did for April. And oh my gosh, look at how colorful that is, you guys. Look at how colorful. Now, what I found when I sat down to do this, I didn't have very many die cuts left. I had Hello April. I borrowed a couple of tulips that I could have used in May, but I used them in April. There is the rest of my little scallop rub-on that we just used. I had that die cut and that die cut. And I'm like, ooh, I don't have very many die cuts left. So pulled out some of the rub-ons, right? So you can see, use that little bunny rub-on there, that little bunny rub-on there, the little carrots there. And I just turned the carrots on the end. Just because you see something placed on a sheet like this doesn't mean that's how it has to be used. Those carrots are laying down, right? I could have used them laying down, but there's no reason why I couldn't have them standing up based on the space that I needed to fill. So you'll see I used a couple rub-ons, rub-on, rub-on, rub-on. Spring is a rub-on. This is a rub-on. Each month of the year for Season Pass, we'll have kind of those little check boxes. So you see those check boxes there. I used those check boxes in March. I used them in February. And it just so happens that those are spaced so that if you wanted to add them on the calendar, they are fit perfectly between those lines. Just kind of a little decorative element there. Now, there's a lot more color that I added here. And the way that I added the color was with the stamps. So I used that little flower stamp, the cluster of flowers. And when you look at it, you can see I used the orange ink. So remember when we were talking about the inks that coordinated with Season Pass? The orange that I used was Spice Marmalade. So I just took the little flowers and I stamped them in orange. That was a really easy way without having to really use any other product to add color. I did the same thing with the butterfly stamp. So there's my little butterfly stamped. I stamped the butterfly in green. But I also stamped the butterfly in the speckled egg, right? So when you use your stamps, I could have decorated this whole spread just using stamps, and all I would have had to do was change up the color, right? I could have done orange flowers, I could have done green flowers, yellow flowers, just like I did the eggs. So you have your little cluster of Easter egg stamp, and I stamped with the milled lavender, I stamped with Kitsch Flamingo, and I stamped with squeezed lemonade. Yellow, yellow, yellow. So use your stamps. Stamps are one of the most versatile things that you can use, and they're actually one of the least expensive products that you have based on use, right? Because if I use all of these stamps and I use them in different colors, my cost per stamp will be literally not even pennies, because if I continue to use my stamps and just switch up the colors, they end up costing me, almost nothing because they will last forever as long as I take good care of them. Added a couple of word strip stickers and then went in and added, I actually, before I did any of the decorating, I added my dates because your monthly insert is undated, meaning you could use it anytime, any year. So I always start with that and then add whatever appointments or travel I need and then start decorating. So really fun, cute spread or calendar based on only things that I had left over. I had already decorated things I had left over. Last one I used was the little April definition. So if you are new to Season Pass, and this is the first one that you are either looking at or using with me, you may not have heard me say that once the year is done, you have a stamp for every quarter, you will have all 12 months of your definitions. So you'll have April, May, June for spring, summer. For winter, spring, you had January, February, March. And then, as going forward, you'll end up with definitions for all 12 of your months. Let's see, Ink and Paper with Kelly. Welcome, welcome. Ink and Paper with Kelly said, hello, brand new. Welcome, welcome. Is this a bundle on your site? So cute. This is the Spring Summer Season Pass kit that we are working with. So Spring Summer Season Pass is on my website at lailbymail.com. You will see a link to it in the description box of the video. What I shared at the beginning, I'm going to assume your name is Kelly since it's Ink and Paper with Kelly. Kelly, it is, I am about 90% sold out of the Spring Summer Season Pass kit and the a la carte products. So if it's something that you want to take a closer look at, take a look on the website. And then if you are thinking about buying it, I would say buy it sooner than later because Spring Summer Season Pass is for the months of April, May, and June, and it is already almost sold out. All right, friends, if you have, if you have any questions, if there's anything, I don't think I've missed anything in the chat. I think I have pretty much been able to keep up with the chat. But if you are watching the replay and if you have any questions, your best bet is to go to lailbymail.com and click contact us. Then you can fill out a little form and it will email me and we can chat back and forth from there. Will we be listing live on Saturday? We are listing, I believe, let's see, we're listing the 4th, the 11th. There is one weekend that we are not listing in April on Saturday because I will be in Houston for Little Craft Fest. So if you go to lailbymail.com and click on blog and just kind of start looking at the blog, you will see the schedule for Q2, for April, May, and June of our listing. But yes, we are listing this Saturday, April 4th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And you'll watch for an email. You'll get it either Thursday or Friday. It goes out Thursday, but my email provider throttles the emails as they're delivered because I have a lot of people getting my emails. So they kind of throttle it and usually send it out over about a 24-hour period. So you may get it Thursday or Friday. Or Thursday, you can go to the blog at lailbymail.com and you'll see all the information for our listing session for Saturday. All right, rotating the camera. That was really quick. Sorry for the little spin there. You might have felt like you were at Disneyland on the cups and saucer ride, whatever that one's called, the one that makes me sick that I can't ride. All right, friends, there we go. We are all set up for April. If you are new to Lail by Mail or you're new to Season Pass, I hope there was something that you saw tonight that sparked your interest. And maybe it was even, oh my gosh, I had never used rub-ons and now I know how to use them. Or it's been years since I used rub-ons and the rub-ons back in the day were horrible. And now I know that they're good and I feel confident and I like rub-ons now. Or maybe it was stamping and you didn't know you had to condition or prime your stamps before you used them. Or maybe it was just, hey, you can slip cover your inserts and change up your look every day, every week, every month, every year without having to actually have something be permanent. All right, my friends, I'm just checking out the chat. Hi, Nita. Yeah, I think we're good. So, questions, shoot me an email, lailbymail@gmail.com, or go to the website and click contact us. And we will be, do I have it in my calendar yet? Oh, I do. If you want to add this to your calendar, the May setup, so this same class, but setting up our Traveler's Notebook for May, is scheduled for Wednesday, April 29th, same bat time, same bat channel. So here on my YouTube channel, Wednesday, May 29th, excuse me, Wednesday, April 29th for the May setup, and it will be again at 5:30 Pacific time. But watch for an email about that. Gosh, I think that's all, guys. If you are joining me the first time for one of my free classes, there's a whole slew of free classes here on my YouTube channel, or you can go to my website at layobymail.com and click up at the top at free classes, and you'll see lots of different free classes for you there. All right, you guys, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope that you join us this Saturday for lots of listing fun, because it feels like it's been forever since we listed. Good night. Bye-bye. And now I've got to walk around the back of the camera, and in about a month, it will all be professional, and it'll be so much fun. All right, you guys.